because this one is a little bit trickier. Let's look at this. Here's an alumina plant, and they have this a roll, and on that roll there is aluminum, and there's a coated roll. That alumina is slipping on that roll, and it's not supposed to be. So the problem statement is that the alumina is slipping on the roll. Now we ask, how can that happen? Very commonly, we get answers such as motor. We start listing components again, right? Bearing. And it's not really clear, well, how's the motor going to make that roll slip, we ask. Well, maybe the motor's moving real fast all of a sudden and then really slow. It's like, well, how's that actually going to, is that actually true? I mean, there's a lot of steps between there. So in this case, it's really only one way that aluminum can slip. So if you focus on object and thinking about how can that alumina slip on that roll? Well, if you take a look here, the only thing that can happen is that the friction force is too small. That's how it slips. That's physically how it slips. Now, if you remember from school, what is friction force? I can't remember the exact formula, but it's basically a formula of the normal force on the aluminum and the friction coefficient, those two things. And that could be the next step in developing possible causes. And then we can say, well, how can the normal force be too slow? And then we can start talking about how that can happen. And then we can say, how can the friction coefficient be too slow? And it's too small, and then we can see how we can develop that. So to summarize, first of all, we need to focus on the object in the first level of developing possible causes. That's a very common mistake, that we move away from the object the first thing we do. The next thing is that we need to describe how and what affects the object. So not just write an object, but try to just do verb and object and see how it actually connects. You get that connection. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, and I think we'll do that in next video, is that if we look at every single possible cause, like I mentioned earlier, if you remember, that we want to do on level 1, we really want to keep it open and come up with every possible cause we can think of connected to the object that could be possible to do. But if we do that on level 2 and 3 and 4, what you're going to get is an FMEA. You're going to see every possible failure mode on that object. And how's that different than a root cause? So what's the difference between an FMEA and a root cause failure analysis investigation? Well, let's talk about that in the next video. And for now, I really appreciate you watching. And please subscribe. Click the little bell so you get updates. We try to do these about once a week. And we hope to see you here again. Thanks for watching.